Israel is launching new attacks in Gaza, with the Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry saying more than 50 people were killed overnight. The latest strikes destroyed a school that had been turned into a shelter. It comes as Israel has launched a major new offensive in recent days. The IDF has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Meanwhile, the first few aid trucks are moving into Gaza after nearly 3 months of Israel's complete blockade. But with only 5 trucks arriving yesterday, some doctors are warning it's not enough aid to keep babies and children from starving to death within days. Foreign correspondent Tom Burge is following the latest from London. Tom, good to see you. The UN says only a limited number of aid trucks are being now allowed into Gaza, calling it a drop in the bucket of what's actually needed. Is that a sign Israel is feeling the pressure from its allies, including the U.S., when it comes to the humanitarian crisis?
Well, Stephanie, the Israeli government has already made clear that it is allowing this limited amount of aid into Gaza now because of U.S. pressure. But 5 trucks only went in yesterday, and before the war, 500 trucks would go into Gaza on any given day. Now, the UN says it has permission from Israel for another 100 trucks to go in today. So we'll have to see how many of those trucks actually get in. I mean, what people should understand is that Israel is allowing this limited amount of aid only until it sets up its own controversial distribution plan for aid, where it would distribute aid from very tightly controlled zones where people would be vetted in order to get access to that aid. Israel says it is doing it to prevent aid going into the hands of Hamas. But there is this very stark warning from a top UN official saying 14,000 babies could die within the next 48 hours if more baby formula doesn't get to those families in desperate need. And if we talk about pressure, Israel is looking more isolated. There's been a very strongly worded statement from key European countries, Canada and Australia, condemning Israel in no uncertain terms. President Trump has changed his tone over the war. He's expressed concern about levels of starvation in Gaza, but he has not criticised the Israeli government directly, criticised Israel's war in Gaza, and it remains to be seen what pressure the president is willing to exert to possibly try and force Israel's hand on this. At the moment, Israel is escalating its military operations on the ground.
They certainly are. And now we know, Tom, that Israel has approved an emergency draft calling up those IDF reservists. With ceasefire talks at an impasse and more soldiers moving in, does Israel have any incentive to resume peace talks?
Well, the Israeli government's position, Stephanie, has always been, or for a long time, that it has to exert maximum military pressure on Hamas to try and get the group to make concessions. Now, many Israelis would disagree with that. Many of Israel's allies would disagree. They would argue that in the recent ceasefires that we have had, it has been a sense of negotiation and compromise on both sides that has led to ceasefire deals and more hostages coming out. The Qatari Prime Minister now saying that recent negotiations are leading nowhere because of a fundamental gap between the two parties. And we've had a very strongly worded statement from the family supporting the hostages, and they're effectively pleading with the Israeli government to change its position, arguing that Hamas has already been defeated. But at the moment, the Israeli military is on a full war footing in Gaza right now. Stephanie?
Tom Burge for us. Thank you so much, Tom.